Welcome to RVA Rap Elite, episode 30 recap podcast. It's myself, Radio B, Nicholas F, Isa Leo in the building. Give me just a minute to make sure this joint is muted.
Nice.
We shared the podcast. That joint does. It don't always mute. It's now muted. Share this broadcast. We had a milestone episode. Episode 30 was supposed to be a big one. Share this. It was a big one. Broadcast. We had
a great one.
A milestone episode. Amazing. Episode 30. Let me turn my phone back. Amazing. The cipher. One of the, I'll go on record to say it was, I don't know, top whatever you want to put it, but it definitely was one of the best ciphers that we've ever had, I believe, personally. One of the most competitive ciphers that we have had. 1 second. Much respect and shout out to Era Hardaway.
Thanks. New champ.
For becoming the new champion. So now we're 4 episodes in, with 5 episodes to go. Our first 2 episodes were won by Tone Red. Our 3rd episode was won by Kula Von Siel. And now our 4th episode has gone back to the 757 with Era Hardaway. So it's interesting because what that's done is, or what's happened is, with 5 episodes left, it's still wide open for the road to MVP. Anyone can still become MVP with 5 episodes left and what's occurred so far. If you're coming in off the street, if you've been someone that's been competing month after month, it's still there for you. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. What's cool also is that immediately concluding this broadcast, episode 31 open cipher will be, the signups will be opening up immediately after this podcast. It will be produced by F5. F5 is one of the members of Producers Lounge. Solid, super fire instrumental. So I'm excited to hear what our MCs do over that. We're starting this episode off in a few minutes here with an interview with our new champion, Era Hardaway. He's going to be tapping in pretty soon to chat it up with us, get his feedback on what his experience was. This was his first appearance. So that's impressive in itself. Is this
how many times does that happen? Yeah, I'm about to ask, how many times that happen?
Is that a first? I don't know about a first, but no, it's not a first. That's not a first, but it's been a long time. I think Wilt Sorrell did that. Season 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, first season when he came, he came with splashing.
Wow.
And then I want to say Trademark did that as well.
I feel like
Trademark did that.
I feel like his first time on the scene, he might have.
Yeah. Trademark won the first time he came through.
And technically, who won episode 1? Vintage, right?
No. MC Correct.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
MC Correct won the very first one. So yeah, I'm not sure. When Vintage won, I'm not sure if that was his first open cipher. I know that he had been in some scheduled or live ciphers prior to that, but I don't know if he had been in the open cipher before he won his very first one. But yeah, has not happened very often, and I don't think it's happened at all since season one. I can't think of any other time where an MC had come in off the street for their first time and won the cipher.
What about Basic? How did he do his first time?
First time he made it to sudden death.
And who did he lose to?
I think that was the time Fizzle won with the freestyle off
the freestyle.
Wall. Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah, and I think Basic said that he learned because he wasn't really prepared for the sudden death. He said he felt like that was what was his.
I remember that.
And he said he would never come in underprepared again, which he didn't. Still our most winning MC, 7 out of 9 appearances.
This is the second week this is the second episode in a row we've seen some people unprepared for the sudden death.
Yeah. Sai G said he was not expecting to make it to sudden death. My thing is, you guys are writing hard in that first round. You gotta be expecting to make it to sudden death.
Yeah.
When you're writing that hard and you're writing that impressively for the first round, you gotta be expecting a sudden death. You gotta have something.
Yeah. And for real, sudden death, it doesn't really require a whole lot to win sudden death. It should, but generally, it requires just a few lines to hit. Like the verse don't got to be super long.
Right.
He's got to be better than the next person.
Right.
Get a couple more lines off.
It's only 60 seconds and it's a cappella, so you can be heard. So if you have something potent in that space, typically it's going to cut through.
Yeah.
So
got the guess.
The champ is here.
Sure.
Congratulations, champ.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
For those that don't know, Era Hardaway did win episode 30. He did it in very unique fashion, in the sense of like he did a couple of things. And I think the risks and the boldness, the combination of risk and boldness and execution played in his favor. Hopped off the stage, he got in the crowd. He said he wanted to be, eye to eye with the audience. That was the first thing that separated him, from the other MCs. And then he went into, he asked the crowd, he's like, y'all like poker? And set the stage for the scheme that he put together, which was a very, very, very dope, very clever, well worded, well emceed scheme, like a well written scheme, I should say. And like, a lot of times you hear people do schemes and they're not always, they don't land the way that particular performance did, and it definitely landed. What was your mindset going into this? This was your first time. Did you know what to expect? What was your mindset coming into episode 30?
My mindset was just win the crowd. I mean, that's the main thing. And then I already knew, like in my mind, I already knew people were going to come in punching. So I was just like, let me come with something different that's aside from punch. I know I could punch, but it's like, if I could compel the crowd in a different way, you know what I'm saying? Because rapping is all about getting people to see what you're telling them, you know what I'm saying? If they can see that clear, vivid picture, 9 times out of 10, you got them, as a fan, as a listener, as anything, So
right.
In that amount of time, it was just like, all right, how can I get them to see my picture? You know what I'm saying? Essentially. Right. And especially coming from, well, from the 7-5 by way of Fredericksburg, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not from Richmond, so it's like, all right, I really got to do something different and catch them off guard. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's like, even if I didn't score, I know niggas was going to be like, yeah, nah, who is you? You know what I'm saying? So,
Right. Nah, you definitely did that. And, you know, and it, you know, like I said, it was really the combination of you know, like you snatching the attention of the crowd. So they, you know, by first stepping off the stage, that was a big piece, you know. And, you know, we say that, you know, and I caution folks, because a lot of times, you know, you say that and then, you know, people follow suit, and sometimes that may work for you, sometimes it won't. I'm just gonna let y'all know that now. But, you know, that's not, you know, being the first person to particularly do that is what sets you apart. And, you know, that was the immediate, like, okay, everybody's now focused on what you're saying. And then you commanded the crowd, you know, by asking them a question. You know what I'm saying? You know, do y'all like poker? So you said, you know, just like you said, you really did. You set the stage for you to deliver, you know, the verse that you delivered. So I think that was one of the big things.
Yeah, I thought it was dope that you schemed the whole verse too, because like we've heard them, we've seen people do like short schemes, but none for conceptual whole verse, top to bottom. Shit was fire. So like, let me ask you, that's like a really like a specific sort of device and tactic as a writer, right? To do a scheme. So like, who are some of your inspirations, or people that you've listened to that kind of like you look to, or not even that you look to, or that you've heard that inspired thinking like that?
Certain schemes,
like, is it from battle rap, or is it from music and rap in general?
It would be from battle rap more so, just seeing people carry on their schemes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like surf is good for it, but then you got certain ones, you know, you got it's certain people that can really carry off the schemes right now. I can't think of who carry off the schemes though, but some of my favorites be like Ill Will. You know what I'm saying? Who else do I look at? K Shine. I like K Shine. His schemes be going off. Another one is Chess, you know what I'm saying? But it's really the influence of battle rap, you know. And then it's like into the verse, writing that verse, I was just like, all right, once like, because my style is kind of like, I hear certain bars at certain times and then I fill in the pieces. But like around that time when I say gotta call a king a king, like you call a spade as I'm writing, I'm like, let me just see how long I could go with a card scheme. You know what I'm saying? Let me just see how long I could go and make it sound good. Like, not try to have no corny lines in between, you know what I'm saying? Or no and that's what came up, you know what I'm saying?
It's a good gamble to take, you know, because, you know, doing something like that is a gamble, you know, so it is a good one to take, you know.
Nah, it definitely is, man. But it's cool though, because I mean, I'm accustomed to punching. Punching is cool, like, but to try something that's different and to draw it out of the people while you talking, like when I said that 4 of a kind line, it kind of not the 4 of a kind line.
That was the one that hit. That was the first one that hit.
Yeah, that was the first one that majorly hit. But the one before that was when I ended the suits. You know what I'm saying? So I went to hearts, hearts. When I went to the clubs, everybody was when they clubs. When they I was like, oh, it kind of threw me off a little bit.
Love in the club.
But it was a great experience, man. It was just like that. Y'all, that energy I feed off the crowd. So once the crowd started getting live and I started peeping that they was picking up on what I was saying. I was like, okay, I'm good now. You know what I'm saying?
Like how them lines gave them time to react too.
Yeah, it's like build-ups, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that was one thing you did really well with that too, is you built up to the main, like the main lines that you were connecting all your whole scheme with, like the major lines, but in build up you weren't writing like basic setups. You weren't doing just like rudimentary setups where it's like people could automatically see where that next line was coming from. You kind of kept it more conversational, which is what I think separated that scheme from where a lot of MCs, especially even in battle rap, is like a lot of people scheme, but they scheme in like a very structured way. So it's either like the setups, you can hear them coming, or like the schemes, it's like overly lyrical, like, okay, cool, I get what you're doing type of thing, where the way that you did it, it was like it had more game with it. It was more like you were like talking, but you still had the schemes in the mix of the conversation. And that's, I think, what really kind of made it hit home. Those lines hit home. Whereas like you weren't trying to be overly lyrical. You were just keeping it all in play, but it was slick talk too. Like, so it's like relatable, and then your eye level with the crowd. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all of that kind of thing played into the emotional aspect of like where the crowd was reacting to those lines. It was like everybody felt you. You know what I'm saying? So,
and the fact that this is the first time that we're seeing this person on this stage.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like all of that plays into it real well.
So you end up going to sudden death. It was you, Side G, Cole Hicks. Shout out to Side G, shout out to Cole Hicks. Cole really wasn't feeling well during this event. She didn't come into the event till it was about time for her to rap, and then she kind of went back to her car after she rapped the first round. She tried to come back in, but she didn't make it back in time. What was your thought going into sudden death? What was your thought coming out of the whole thing?
And were you prepared for sudden death?
Yeah, I was definitely prepared for sudden death. I had like 2 more verses ready. Like I was ready, but like those is more of the punch ones, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, if we go to sudden death, this is what I got. If we go to another sudden death, this is what I got. And then like if we had to go to another sudden death, I probably would have had some more. Like, but you know, once we went into sudden death, I was just, and that's why when I hear you say time, when you saying time,
I said time like 3 times.
Yeah.
When you say I hear sudden death, I'm just like, I'm going to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm going to my competition is done. Like, you know what I'm saying? They got to get slaughtered. So I was just, and then like I had a whole, like my verse won't done. So that's why I was still trying to keep going. I ain't hear you, but yeah, my whole thing was just like, yeah. I went in there, I was like, yeah, with that verse I had right there, I was like, yeah, it's going to get him up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and Side G good too. Like Side G was a good opponent. You know what I'm saying? I just knew like my confidence as an artist is like, you know what I'm saying? Get him up out of here. Like, you feel me? Like,
right.
Like, and it was my first time. So I was coming to cut heads, man, for real.
Well, you know, that's unique. I think that's one of the things that makes it is the main reason why so many, we were saying before you came on, that it's very rare for a first timer to actually win. And one of the reasons I think that it is rare is because most first timers, even if they do really well in the first round, they're not typically prepared for sudden death. If they somehow do have a 1 round in sudden death, they might not have a second one. So for you to have that many verses in the clip was another unique and well prepared thing. And I think what your entire approach to it speaks to preparation being such a big piece of what separates one MC from the other 29. In a lot of instances is that preparation and just being ready for sudden death.
I piggyback off of that with a question. Speaking of that prep, have you like done any like competitive spitting before? In any sort of way, radio or cipher?
Only thing I have, only ciphers I done bars on I-95. They came to Virginia and did a cipher.
Yeah, I remember that.
7.5 specifically. Yeah, I did that. But that wasn't really competitive. I've done plenty of ciphers, but nothing of like competition where like, oh no, I have. But it was Sue Surf's. He had a tournament, you know what I'm saying? But it was online, so I had to submit a video of me spinning a 16 over a beat, and it would compare to, you know what I'm saying, compare whose verses was better, and then whoever would go on to the next round, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I ain't win that, but that was probably like the most competitive setting, you know what I'm saying, that I've had as far as this rap goes, you know. So
and you're a dope artist. You have a lot of different things that you're doing. You had another show this weekend as well, right? So what is it that I guess drew you to wanting to get involved or you know, get into this competitive, you know, space with RVA Rap Elite?
I needed to sharpen my sword, man. Like, it's like I'm good with making music, you know what I'm saying? But I gotta keep my inspiration and keep my fun going. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and I can't stay stagnant, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and this was a perfect opportunity. I'm like, yo, let me try my hand, you know? So that's the main reason why I did it. And then I just seen it because it was like a growing audience of people who understand lyricism, you know? So that was another thing that drew me to it. So I know, like, if I step into the building and if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I could bring up Benny the Butcher. I could bring up, you know what I'm saying? I could bring up all these people, you feel me? Or Rock Marciano. I could bring up different people and they're gonna know the sound, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like down here, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not around that too much, you know what I'm saying? A couple of the homies listen to him, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, you know what I'm saying? It's really like trap out here, you know what I'm saying? So it just really helped me sharpen my sword for real. And then it's just to introduce to a new community of artists that, like I said, appreciate lyricism and hip hop.
Yes, sir.
So that's the main reason. Yeah.
Definitely glad to hear that. You know, that's the energy that we want to create. Like, we want to draw people that, you know, that appreciate this style of the music and this style of the culture. And like, you definitely came through and you know, like, you also drafted high for a first timer, you know what I'm saying? So it goes to say, you know, how far your name reaches, and you know what I'm saying? So like, there's definitely a good handful or more than a handful of people that that expected you to do well. You know what I mean? You were representing Team Kane. Kane made sure that he snatched you up in the first round. So you led Team Kane to his first win of the season. So I'm sure, you know, I know he's very, very hype about that. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, you know, I think you, Jason, and who else was on Team Kane? Who else was on Kane's team? It was you, Jason, and Will Sorrell. Will Sorrell, yeah. So y'all all did well. Y'all did well for that particular episode. So how do you? Okay, so now that you're the champion, you do know there's a road to MVP. I don't know how much you know about, you know, the MVP awards and things that come with that. It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit of things, but I know one of the main things is we have a big end of the year concert called Flag on the Moon. And the winner of our MVP for the season, it does get a performance set at Flag on the Moon. There's also a custom MVP belt that is gifted to you. We make sure that we design it to be specific to you. So I mean, that's we got 5 episodes left. Is a run for MVP something that you interested in chasing down or mowing down, or are you happy with the one championship, or what can we expect from Era Hardaway for the rest of the season?
You can expect hunger. I'm gonna keep going until I can't go no more. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like I said, it's all on the judges. So, but I'm gonna keep coming with the fire. You know what I'm saying? Right. Regardless, I just gotta keep going, yo. And it's like I don't even like. That's something to obtain, but I just look at step by step. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, we on the next one. I'm gonna kill this one. Boom, we get that. Okay, we on the next. Like, you know, I just focus step by step, man. But I'm definitely putting my best foot forward and coming through the kill on every one of them. So yeah.
Now I know that the homies out 757. I've seen Will Young definitely cheering you on. You know, we have a lot of there's a lot of lineage. 757 been lineage in RVA Rap Elite. Will Young, yeah, Basic.
757 has historically come through and left an imprint.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. Basic was our season 3 MVP. And you know, Intellect will be this is an announcement. Intellect will be performing at episode 31. So you know,
I think and didn't Will Young get like the highest score that we've had?
He's tied for the highest score now.
Okay,
which was I think there was a 29.
29.5 or 29?
9, I think.
29.
And okay. now that is Cole had a 29.
Okay.
First round. So now there's Cole, I think Cole, Tone, and Will Young have had 29s and tied for the highest score that we collectively get.
Who just got here? My Popeyes. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I mean, we definitely appreciate you. Any last words or anything you want to promote or tell people where to find you or what they can expect from you going forward? Any last words?
Yeah, follow me, Instagram, Era Hardaway, Twitter, Era Hardaway. Persevere. My single I was dropping all June. Every Thursday in June, I dropped a single. One of those singles was Persevere. It hit 10,000 streams on Audio Max. So this is an announcement. If people don't know, I ain't announced it yet, but I'm about to announce it tonight. But if you're on here, make sure you go to my YouTube, set that reminder. The Persevere music video drops on July 4th. So yeah, peep that. Shout out to RVA Rap Elite for even giving a platform like this, for us to showcase our lyrical abilities in front of people. I appreciate that, and it's just always an opportunity, and it's always my pleasure, man. This shit is dope for real, bro. I'm glad to be a part.
Nah, man, we're super happy to have you, man. You like I said, you came through and you embody what the platform is about. So it gives us, it strengthens our resolve in the fact that what we're trying to project as a platform is resonating with people that also understand what it is that we're trying to promote, and it brings you to it. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you came to it, and not only came to it, but arrived in preparation in the way that you were prepared, lets me know, it's being well communicated, like what you need to do on this platform. You know what I'm saying? So for you to come out on your first time and put on the way that you did, it's major salutes. And we appreciate you. We definitely look forward to seeing you July 25th at episode 31. Ease, you got any words for the champ before he goes?
It was an awesome performance, man. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what you got for us next episode, man. I'm looking forward to see who else is coming from the 757 now, because I know it ain't just gonna be Scoozy next time.
Scoozy was. That's why I was like, man, like Scoozy come next time, man. Oh man, y'all gonna be able for a good one. I knew he was in there too, and I was like, man, I gotta come crazy. Like if I didn't come that prepared, bro could have easily, because I know his ability. I wasn't familiar with people until that night, but him, I already knew. I was like, yeah, bro about to come eat this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, he might come next time too. I hope he does. So
I definitely hope he does. Definitely, he went crazy. He definitely went crazy. So we're gonna get into the rest of the pool of what everybody else did and try to break that down a bit more. But yes, thank you for taking the time to chat it up with us.
Sure.
And we'll see you at episode 31.
Alrighty, man. I'll be easy. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
All right. So waiting for Nicholas F to get back with chicken grease face.
Man, probably order mad beignets. Beignets for the kids.
Shout out to everyone that's watching. We got about 17 folks watching. F is back. So we just talked to the champ.
Chopped it with the champ.
There were so many dope performances this episode. Let's see if I can pull up. Now, who is in the chat? Let's make sure we check out the chat. See what the folks is talking about. Schoolsy got a dope catalog too. Spielberg says that's correct. All right. So I know that there were definitely some folks that had questions about scoring, overall scores, about individual scores, about how we go about scoring. We had discussions among ourselves about, coming to some sort of, doing some more calibration to kind of like bring our scores together a bit more. Because I do think that some of a lot of our individual scores for different MCs were at times pretty wide from one another at points. And there were definitely some questions and some concerns and some grievances had from the MCs in chat. So we want to be able to address those things and give our transparency. And I think the best way for us to do that initially is to kind of go through a lot of these scores and give our standpoints individual of what led to us scoring the way that we chose to score each particular individual. I don't think we can go from all 26 or 30, but we'll try to get through a good amount of them, especially if there were any like questionable scores or whatever. But we can kind of just, we're going to do this kind of the way we always do it. And we can either go bottom to top or top to bottom. I think a lot of times it's a little more fun to go top to bottom, and talk about it just like we normally do. We always want to make sure we give our flowers and show love to the MCs and just talk about the moments. So we definitely talked to the champ already, but the MC with the highest score of the night in the first round, only a 0.5 difference, which is why there was a sudden death, but was Cole Hicks with a 29. We wanted to call it flu game Cole, but she would have had to pull that. She would have had to pull that whole win in to make it the flu game story that we would have liked to really like hang the hat on, but she wasn't able to come back for sudden death. But that first verse was crazy performance. F, you're muted.
I was saying what I really liked about it was how it started off. It was like a narrative. It was kind of like like remember me, the one you got your whole style from, like
right.
It's like a kind of like a little story, and then she just like got into that bag with a crazy delivery and like crazy wordplay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like there towards the end, a lot of full line rhyming going on, a lot of in and out, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Pause that.
Yeah, like the chicken parts, the leg thigh, like it. She got real crazy in there, but yeah, like you said, the rhyme stream, the rhyme schemes and structures to the rhymes is what really kind of like made the verse the most potent just a certain presence and confidence, effortlessness that she exhibited in delivering that verse. She kind of like walked up real cool, calculated, delivered it with not a, just minimal hand motion.
And it was like a crescendo.
Right.
Like it didn't start on 100. She like I said, she walked niggas into that joint, and then like there's just like a point where it was just like she just took off. Yeah.
Absolutely. Incredible verse. Almost perfect score. I did give her a 10. You both gave her a 9.5. And
for the record, for all the MCs listening, I still have, and this is a thing about the scoring, I still have yet to give a 10. I'm kind of like, now we all judge a little bit differently. I'm kind of reserving that 10 for the moment I feel there is a game-changing verse in Rap Elite, a verse that changes the way either people approach Rap Elite or just that sets a new bar, a new standard. So I'm just reserving that. But like I said, a 9.5, that's the highest I've given thus far. That's just like the most, you know what I mean? It's like fire. So just want to throw that out there.
I told them in the chat that me with 10s, I feel like this season I've given out a quite a bit of 10s in for how I like to score. I was always reserving 10s for like almost like a perfect verse. And I feel like I got a little 10 happy early in the season. So for me, I want to remain consistent with that bar that I started at for the season. So if I was scoring verses at a certain level, a 10 early on, when you reach that bar for me now, you're going to get the 10. Next season, it's probably going to be a little more difficult to get a 10 out of me. But for the remainder of this season, it's going to be at the same bar, that whatever that bar was. I would say, for this particular episode, Cole reached that 10 for me. And who else got a 10 for me? And Saji. Both of them ended up being in sudden death.
And for me, they both got 9.5s.
Right. So it shows the consistency, of like how good those verses were. So
actually, Saji, I gave a 9.
You did give Saji a 9, and you gave, I think, Cole Hicks a 9.5, right? Mm-hmm. So like, if you can tell, like, I think the most 10s I've probably ever given away might have been, I don't know,
a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
I think that was the episode, the first time Chance showed up, right?
Yeah.
That was a crazy episode. And that was the episode, I think Jason went off that episode too. Tone Red went off that episode. That was a crazy episode.
Yeah.
To me, a 10 almost got to be like when you like want to stop them from rapping type shit. Like, yo, you gotta chill. You gotta chill. But
for me, a 10 always does include a solid close. And when I say a solid close, it either there has to be some type of like it was planned to end that way, like whether that was intentionally rapping over the time a bit, or whether that was, but either way, it has to have an ending. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like gymnastics for me. Like, you got to stick the landing.
Yeah.
That
like before that 2 minutes is up. Like
right. Preferably right on the 2 minutes. If I'm counting and I know that you stick the landing right on the beat cut, and your last bar is a solid like close, you emphasize and all of that, like that's a big piece for me if you've been cooking throughout that entire, and getting a 10 does require you to definitely get crowd reaction. It's going to require you to say some clever things, some things that, are typically going to be memorable. You had to have elicited a vocal reaction out of me more than likely if you got a 10. And you were doing quite a bit. Your performance, your delivery was there, the lyricism was there. If it's not punchlines, it's some other type of clever way to emphasize like what you're doing lyrically. A lot of mechanics are going into a 10 verse for me. But
yeah, 10 verse for me is going to be heavy on mechanicals, like in like a structured technical sense. It's also going to be a lot of pain. I ain't going to necessarily say pain, but you're going to be saying something. And there are going to be a lot of devices going on, whether it's metaphors, punches, illustrative speaking, anything. It's going to be a lot going on. And then this is going to kind of change the game. This is going to elevate things. I'm waiting for that verse that elevates the game.
Right.
And I know somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to come in there and dumb out 1 month, and everybody, it's going to be like, oh, shit is different now. It's going to happen. Because who is it going to be?
That's a fact. All right, so we talked about Eric Hardaway. We talked about Cole Hicks, Saji, man, he's consistently gotten better and better. Him winning the season finale of last season definitely was not a fluke, because prior to that and since then, he has continued to get better and better. And I think this particular episode, he really, really brought it. And he was another one that closed the show. I'm trying to remember that last line. I think it was martial law, but it was like a play on Misha Law, like that's what he was saying throughout the verse. But I gotta, you're gonna have to check that out on the episode on the playback. But
he's one of those people that's proven that, like, whenever he wants to, like, if he wants to, he can win it. He can take it.
Right.
Like, if he decides that that's what he really wants to do, he has the capabilities to do that. Right.
Most definitely. And I think with Saji too, is he's one that has shown that he can do it. You can do it with your own style. Because Saji is not the most like aggressive, loud MCs or anything like that. He's pretty laid back for the most part. And he doesn't break character. You know what I mean? Even when he's rapping really well, he's still in composure, like his own personal composure and how he wants to walk you into these bars. And I think that's impressive.
What he said, one of the lines that I remember, he said, "This fear of God was hard to cop, even harder to live in." And I was just like, that was hard.
Yeah, that was fire.
That was hard, yo. That was hard. That fear of God is hard to cop.
Mm-hmm.
I got a few pieces.
Yeah, now Saji brings you into his world. If he's, he might be talking about.
You talking that fashion shit, man.
Talking the fashion shit. Yeah, he shouted out Mama Joe, said Mama Joe's got him some numbers. But he also, like, whatever is going on in his mind and his life at that particular time is what he kind of throws into that month on that verse. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that, whether it's something in the chat, what's going on the platform. He called me out over the beats back before we was last season, before we were doing original beats, and we would, he was like, you got the Mobb Deep beats and da 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 da. Like, you know, he really keeps it personal. And I think that's one of the things that kind of sets him apart from other MCs too, is it's not like he's just barring you away. It's like, you know, he's talking side G talk, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, it goes to show you that for anybody that feels like, you know, their style is not preferred and their style is not the style that can win, it's more about mastering your style and doing the things that work universally and applying them to your style, because whatever your style is what's going to set you apart. And that's the most important piece in a cipher, is to set yourself apart from the rest of the MCs rapping. Like that's what gets the most attention, and that's what elicits wins. All right, so let's see. So Side G had a total of 20. He tied with Errol Hardaway with a 28.5. Right below that was Scoozy with a 28. I scored Scoozy a 9.5. E scored him a 9. Nick scored him a 9.5. So he was very close to being in the sudden death as well. And he said he had a sudden death. He wanted to rap it. You know what I'm saying? He had a sudden death prepared. And with his style, I think his sudden death probably would have hit really crazy.
Yeah. So let me ask, had he been in another cipher?
No, that was his first time as well.
He was nice, though.
He actually took.
I think it was nice, man.
Yeah, he was.
He had one of my favorite verses of the night, if not my favorite verse of the night. He was nice, yo, for real.
Absolutely, no, I agree 100%. Line for line, very, very punch heavy, very clever.
The wordplay was good.
Spoke very clear. Vocal projection was on point. You know, he was landing a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. He got a lot of reaction. I was watching the playback. He got a lot of reaction. They were landing. You know what I'm saying? He was landing shit. His lines were landing.
All right. So Vintage A with a 27. I gave him a 9.5. Ease gave him an 8.5. And Nick gave Vintage a 9. I know Vintage, he kind of felt away about he didn't like Ease's 8.5. So I'll be clear about that. He didn't like that 8.5. He felt like I guess we can, okay, so with that being said, I think I can say why he didn't like the 8.5. The reason he didn't like the 8.5, and we'll skip down some to reference, because what his reference was is that he was scored the same, not in totality, but on Ease's scorecard, the same as King Fizzle was scored. And the thing about, King Fizzle got an 8.5 from Ease. I personally gave King Fizzle a 7.5, and Nick, you also gave King Fizzle an 8.5, but you gave Vintage 0.5 more. Now, the thing that makes that controversial is because King Fizzle did have a lot of issues getting through that verse, especially at the beginning. He choked 2, maybe 3 times. He had to start over. He had a difficult time catching the rhythm a little bit, I think, as well, once he did start getting going. But then as his verse continued, he started to land some really, really heavy bars and some heavy wordplay that really kind of shook him back. You know, it brought him back. You know, the crowd was reacting to a lot of those lines. We were reacting to a lot of those lines that he landed towards the end. So
Oh, God.
So I think for me, that's what kind of got him back into the 7.5 realm. And even then, I felt like I was being a tad bit generous. Because if he had not done that, he probably would have been somewhere like in the 4s or
yeah. So I'll say, in hindsight, I probably was a bit generous with the 8.5 as well because of the nature of the choke at the beginning. But I will say there is something to be said about the way that he ended and the things that he was doing, excuse me, and the reaction that he was eliciting, yo.
Yeah.
For it to make me that riled up that I gave him a higher score. That said that he was doing a lot, and it was really potent in that like last little section. But like for real, technically his score should have been lower. I would have even still though, with the choke, I'm also judging the writing, right? And what was done in the writing. And so that's kind of like where his score went up, right? Like his score would have been a lot higher probably had he gotten it clean, right?
Absolutely.
But so even though he messed up in the delivery part of it, also just from a technical standpoint, I'm judging what was actually written. And that was just like supreme level writing, you know? And so that's kind of like what saved him on the card for me.
Yeah, it's like same thing. I would probably, like in hindsight, could have dropped him down like another 0.5 or something like that. But the only reason I didn't score Vintage higher is because, like I said, he starts off so fast that I didn't like give me a chance to get into the verse. And what he was saying was dope, which is why he got a high score. But I just didn't feel the same after his verse as I felt, after I heard Fizzle rap. And I felt like the things technically at the end of things technically Fizzle was doing at the end of his verse was more impressive than what I know Vintage can do and has done on the Rap Elite stage. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like that was a winning verse from Vintage. And I mean, he got top 5, which is I think right where he was supposed to be for that night, right? But behind Scoozy, Saji, Cole, and Error. Like,
yes, he did. And I think, but I think the thing with Vintage, to his defense, is that, regardless of where he started, even if he started at the top of the beat, he was super, super clean. Not only was he clean,
I'm saying that's just like another part of just another part of showmanship and like, getting people into the like how you gave Era praise for, hopping off stage and asking the crowd like y'all like poker type, that type of, not to saying that people have to do that to achieve high scores, but just like, letting it, cause it's almost like as soon as he snatched the mic, he started rapping.
But the thing is that could have, it depends. It's all a risk, right? Because so for him, that may have been the reason he did that, to set himself apart. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes MCs would be like, it's like, yo, it's to show like the eagerness. You know what I'm saying? And the boldness. Like, yo,
I want to add on to that because like I do hear what you're saying. He's like it caught me off guard, but for real, I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that he just like as soon as it started, I was like, yo, how did he do that? Right? Because I was just like, it was almost like the nigga hip hop hit play and the nigga just started right on. I was like, God damn, how that nigga do that shit? It took me a second to catch up. It took me a bar or two to, you know what I'm saying, to see what was going on. And I feel you on that. There's a sort of finesse with walking people into it, right? Which is what Cole did. But I kind of like that he jumped right in on it. It did catch me by surprise. And then also just to give props to Vintage, like he's so clean. Like, like his performances, his cadence, his delivery, it don't be no mess ups. And it's impressive because delivery wise,
he's doing a lot.
Like, so like with Vintage,
so many references too. Like he'll take you like in 50 different places when it comes to like, he'll bring you to some designer clothes, some food, some wine. He'll take you to this state, that city. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now that could be a plus or minus depending upon the listener. You know what I'm saying? But you know Vintage's style. It also allows him to walk you into lines like, what do you say?
That one line was crazy. The shit so loud, they paid the same for the shake. That line was, and see, when I think about that line, that line is so hard, it almost makes me want to give him a 0.5 for that, like
right.
Because that line was hard. Like it made I was like, damn, I wish I would have thought of that. That was good.
But and those are lines that you would get from Vintage, but not from necessarily anybody else in the cipher. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a Vintage line. You know what I'm saying? Like he will give you those. You know what I'm saying?
Tone might give a nigga that line too.
Yeah, Tone might give you that line. Might have give you that. But yeah, I would say that Vintage is kind of like the Ric Flair of when it comes to the talk. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of like he's like the Ric Flair kind of the jet flying, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing type of content is what you're gonna get from Vintage, and I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I don't think it was the best Vintage verse but it was definitely a strong one. It was definitely a strong one. Strong performance overall. Especially, you have to also think of how strong it was because it stood out among what we had. Like we had at that point had gotten like 10 solid verses, maybe 8 to 10 solid verses in a row. Because he went right before Kula. So Cole had already went up. Era had went up and killed it. Scoozy had went up and killed it. You know, Chance had went up. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody had already gone up. You know, Fizzle did what he did. Like towards the end of his verse. Like so, there had been a bunch of moments prior to Vintage getting up on stage. So when he got up there, it was kind of like the pressure was on him because you're like, all right, MVP, like. You know, how do you now set yourself apart? And I felt like he still was able to do that. And so that's, I think, why for me, he was short of a 10 for where my bar was for 10s, because he didn't have a whole lot of lines that particularly stood out or elicited reaction other than the shake line. That definitely.
Yeah, that was the thing. The one drawback from Vintage's verse this month for me was that there was only that one line that elicited an audible response from me. Like to get that 9.5, it's like there has to be a few lines back to back, or not even back to back, but there has to be a few of them throughout the verse that make me just like yell or elicit a response from me. And with Vintage, I'd be more tapped into his like flow and delivery, almost on some like Freeway shit. Not like he rap like Freeway, but the same way I tap into Freeway for that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that bar was crazy. If he had a few more of those, you know what I'm saying? Like 2 or 3 more of those that hit like that.
Right.
And the thing with Fizzle was he had so many of those, you damn near broke my arm.
Yeah, I was wild. No lie, I was wilding when Fizzle. Yo, there's this thing that Fizzle does, yo, when like he gets into this one particular bag and delivery where it's like it's almost like the beat don't matter, yo. It's just like the shit just be hitting, yo. Like, and I don't know, like he was saying some shit. Yeah, I definitely grabbed E's forearm up and shook the shit out this nigga after some of that shit, yo, because that man is nice with the pen for sure.
For sure. All right, so next up was Robaloo.
He went off this month too, yo.
Robaloo went crazy.
I put my notes for him was just snapped. That's what I said in my notes for him. He snapped.
You know, he chose his pace. He switched his pace up. He was in and out.
He has great projection too.
Great projection. Very poised. I gave him a 9.5. Ease gave him an 8, and Nick, you gave him a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he was fire.
Yeah, he had one of the best verses of the night for sure.
Sure.
He was fire. I thought he could have controlled the room a little bit better. Like,
what do you mean by that? I felt like
not necessarily
one of those. He was one of the people that actually did command the attention of the room.
Yeah, not necessarily control the room a little bit better, but it was like some of the pauses that he was taking in his joint was kind of, I don't know, kind of a little lengthy, but his lyrics was fire. I just thought the flow could have been smoother, but his lyrics was fire.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair, and I think that's that's where I think it comes into a matter of preference and stuff like that. I think that's what we're hearing with a couple of the different things, a couple of the different tactics that MCs are using. That I think you're not necessarily some things that you may not necessarily favor that either Nick or myself may particularly favor. And that's what doing things like that are risk-taking things. Like, jumping in at the beginning of the beat is a risk-taking thing. Jumping into the crowd is a risk-taking thing. Putting pauses in your raps that are intentional are risk-taking because doesn't necessarily.
And the thing is that's why there's more than one judge, right? Because people are checking and listening and moved and motivated by different things. And so it's okay to, to feel differently or think differently or have a different opinion about it. Because at the end of the day, there's a whole world full of opinions and that represents somebody else's. There's definitely somebody else out there that would feel the same way. So,
I mean, say I did give like a couple people in the top 6 or 7 higher scores, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people with tied scores, and we know that ain't the case that they had equal verses as far as the level of what they came with that night. So I feel like the list is shaking out to exactly damn near how it played out that night. Whose verses was felt the most.
I think the standing of the listing looks right. For how the night read. There probably could be some.
And like I said, I also agree with you in how Fizzle closed and how strong he closed. I don't have him being as high up as he is. in the overall standings because of how he started. I think he lost like a good minute of the 2 minutes of his verse not getting bars off. So I can't really like when I I don't rate that like a short verse. I rate that like that 2 minute performance.
You're right. And you know why? Because I'm looking at it, to be honest, I think Ayala had probably like a better performance. Should have been rated probably a little higher than Fizzle, maybe. Because his verse was fire. He got a 9 from me out of the first round. And I thought his verse was fire. His delivery was clean.
I would have gave Bakari Kennedy a higher score than Fizzle. I would have given, I mean, not higher score, but I think he should have placed higher than Fizzle. I think Kello should have placed higher than Fizzle. Kula, Jason, Wilt Sorrell, Madam V, and then from there I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But as far as just overall performances, I would have put all of them above. I mean, that reflects in my score.
With this also, but also like I said, that also kind of reflects on the level of the writing that he
exhibited,
pulled off as well. Yeah, because like I said, it was a shaky performance. It was like one of his it wasn't one of his best performances, right? But that writing is really good too. And that's
killed me that turned out to be what he had in the tuck once he started getting it off. Cause I'm like, man,
right.
Had
that joint been clean,
right, it would have been crazy. And I think
like
one other time that he did that in another season where it was like he had a real shaky start with like stumbling and stuff, or he stumbled somewhere in the middle, but then like came out of that stumble with like some craziness. And I was like, man, I think feeling that.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like if we're ranking and doing it by writing, then he's in the right spot, right? Or he could possibly be. He's in about the right spot if we're looking at the writing, right? But the overall package of it all, the delivery, the preparation, you know what I'm saying, performance, preparation, all of that as a whole, he's misplaced.
Yeah, I mean that
as a whole.
And I think that, and we have to acknowledge that. And the reason why we have to acknowledge that is because that is for the artists that did come in and put in clean performances, and not just clean performances, but also had moments and had bars and had things that they did technically well. We're not just talking about mediocre verses that you got through. We're talking about good verses and good performances that you got through. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, those artists and those MCs need to know that we do value that over having close off of not being fully prepared. And I'm not gonna say he wasn't prepared, but he just wasn't able to execute. You know,
execute. Yeah, he didn't execute.
You know what I'm saying? So that has to be acknowledged, because that would bother me if I was, you know, we come from you got to think about it. We come from a school where you couldn't do that.
If you choke, you're out.
If you choke, you out.
You lost.
Especially in a cipher. If you did what he did, you wouldn't get the chance.
You wouldn't even get a chance to finish it. Niggas cut you off.
Yeah, they cut you off. Somebody else is coming in to rap. Like
you never even get that shit off. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's literally like how the game went. You know what I'm saying? They would take the mic, even in public settings where microphones were like, they'll come take the mic from you doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't get that 2 minutes to get your shake back. Like that just wouldn't happen.
I mean, we had the Sandman, right?
yeah. Like right, even at the Apollo, you had a Sandman. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't getting your shit off. Like the Sandman come and sweep you off the stage. Like, and he gave us enough time just to get swept off the stage.
He would have got swept.
Sandman
would have got him.
Yeah, he definitely would have got it swept off the stage.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at it from that perspective, and the environment that we're trying to create, which is close to that environment as we can without the hostility, right? So I mean, that's one of the things that our platform, and I think I had a conversation with somebody and it was saying, like, I've never been in a space that was this competitive, but that was also this welcoming and loving and supportive. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people, the number of people that stumbled that night, and each one was received with encouragement and support from the crowd and from the fellow MCs, and like, yo, like, come on, yo, like, get it together, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's Simone
J, you know what I'm saying?
And she ended up getting it for a bit too, and going in her freestyle bag.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that I love that about our crowd. I wouldn't want it to be as hostile as the environments that we came up in, because this, to me, that is the reflection of my experiences in Tuesday Versus. You know what I'm saying? Is being able to come in and be protected.
It's a safe space
in creativity. Like, you can come in and you can share your creative endeavors and grow without feeling like you're going to get your head chopped
off. But you might get a bar thrown at you.
Right, I'm saying, right, but it still has no lack in competitiveness. You know what I'm saying? To me, this is one of the most competitive environments I've ever been a part of. You know what I'm saying? As an MC or a host. So it's amazing that we're able to balance out that way. You know what I'm saying? Because you usually lose competitiveness when you have too much niceness or support. You know what I'm saying? Like, you usually aren't able to have both in the same building. So I'm glad we're able to do that. But let's not lose the fact that if you come in there and you ain't got your shit together, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be rewarded for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just, if you get butterflies and you up there be rabbiting it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So Fizzle, look. So Fizzle, if you listening, come on, man.
You can't write that.
You don't write that fire ass shit and then not kick that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for real, like, niggas really enjoy what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like we enjoy it. So, and if you take the time to write it, man, you know what I'm saying? Deliver that shit, because I know it's going to be more fulfilling and satisfying for you that way too.
But you know, Fizzle's a warrior, man, and we
all day.
He if you got his verse from the previous episode and you got his story through Rap Elite and everything, like, I think there's a lot to learn. A lot of the MCs in Rap Elite could learn a lot from Fizzle's story and his approach to the platform and his approach to the performances. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sure he didn't just quit on his verse and made sure that he got, to where he needed to get to at least know he was gonna feel me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did that. So big salute to Fizzle. We're not trying to, rank on Fizzle either, you know what I'm saying? But we want to be transparent about errors that we may make in scoring and being consistent with our scoring. So one of the things I think that I want to express before we get any further into the list is that one of the things I think that is very noticeable when the MCs are looking at the individual scores is that there's a stark difference between where myself and Nicholas F may score and where Ease may score on a regular basis. So not just where y'all might feel there's inconsistencies or this person shouldn't have the same score as that person, but just base scores, right? So one of the things that we discussed and that we came to a conclusion is that our base score for average is higher than Ease's base score for average. He uses, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Ease more so uses the full 10 points in his scoring. Nick and I tend to, if you have a bad verse, you're going to be like a 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a 5, 5.5. even a 6 is probably close to bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like close, it was flawed. You know what I'm saying? Something either it was below average. You know what I'm saying? Like I think for us, a 7 is average. 6.5, 6.5 and 7s are like average for me. You know what I'm saying? Anything above that is maybe 7.5 is slightly above average. 8 is good. You know what I'm saying? 8 is good. With ease, his bad is going to come in around like probably the 3s and 4s. You know what I'm saying? And he looks at 5 as average. We're going to look to try to bring him up to where we are as far as that base score is concerned, because yes, 5 on the 10 scale is the middle, but it is like, that's like saying like out of these 8s from A to F, that's kind of like saying a D is or a C minus is average. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not like, that's like one of those, like you might get in trouble when you get home for a D.
Yeah. So also, so like MCs should know that like you're being judged on a few things, right? There's a kind of like a lot that goes into the judging, and one thing is, for one, me and Radio have been judging it much longer than Ease has. And so there are certain things that we know to check for. And so like a lot of times the MCs are being judged, one, on the technicals and what they're doing, right? How it's being delivered. Then they're also being judged against the room, right? The other performances that have happened in the night. So like if somebody sets a high bar early on, those other scores are affected by that, right? And then you're also judged against yourself. If you're a recurring person, and I'll speak for myself. If you're a recurring person and I see that you're working on certain things, if at first you was just rhyming one syllable at the end and now you're up to 2, and next thing you know, next month you come and you're rhyming like phrases, 5, 6 syllables at a time. It's like, okay, all right, that you get, in my book, you get points for that because I'm seeing development. Like, and the thing is, we're listening to you guys every month. I'm analyzing, taking notes, and I'm literally following progress, you know what I mean, of the people who are recurring and coming back. So you're kind of like judged. There's a lot of things that go into that overall score. And then also, it's quick and it's in the moment, right? It's like a hot take. It's a gauge of how you made me feel in that amount of time that you had.
That is a very big piece right there, right? Yeah. Because I can say that sometimes MCs will be like, well, last month I feel like I did better than this month, and I got this month, and then I got this month. You know what I'm saying? And I will tell you, you know, it does depend upon how you hit in that, how you made me feel in that room at that particular time. I don't remember what I scored you necessarily the month before. You know what I'm saying? And so if you didn't do significantly better than your last one, you know, the odds are that it may not be necessarily relative to that last particular score. I think can be pretty consistent with recognizing when MCs are growing, though, especially if I notice that you're taking heed to things that we've advised you on in the recaps or something like that, and I can tell that there's something that you're working on, and you execute that part better, I'm likely to want to give you a better score than I gave you the month before. You know what I'm saying? Just because obviously to me you did do better. But there's a lot of things. So for the MCs that are asking what exactly are we scoring on? We're scoring on delivery. We're scoring on flow. We're scoring lyricism. We're scoring on moments. We're scoring on confidence. We're scoring on. I'm scoring on structure for sure. Structure, technical things that you're doing, mechanics of rhyming, whether it be syllabic rhyme schemes or whether it be metaphors, punchlines, cleverness, wittiness,
the impression that you leave on the room.
Yeah. For me, how you end your verse, how you start your verse, a lot of different things go into it. It's an overall package of what you bring as an MC to a stage. You know what I'm saying? And how you captured that particular moment in those 2 minutes. That's what's being judged. Like if you have to understand what the overall all around skill sets of what an MC, a well-rounded MC brings to the table. And if you can bring as many of those things and execute on as many of those things in one performance as possible, then that's when you're gonna, probably elicit some type of, like a 10 or a high score. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna be doing everything that we're looking for you to do. You know what I'm saying? And vocal projection is huge, how you're holding a mic. So, okay, I want to make sure, because I know we have some.
1 second, though, real quick, because I don't know if E's got to say what he is looking for.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I'm super big on, like, lyrics and delivery, you know what I'm saying? And the confidence you deliver the lyrics with, you know what I'm saying? Like, feeling like you belong in that space. Like, coming up there like you are a rapper, like you have been here before, like I can see you performing a show type of thing. Like you got that type of confidence and that swag and how you delivering your lyrics, and the lyrics are fire, and you doing all the technical things, you know what I'm saying? You string yourself together, you making it connect. Like I'm super big on those aspects of the performance.
Okay. I'm looking to see if there's any questions that are in the chat. All right, so let's get a little bit further down the list. So the last person we spoke on was Robaloo, Luxury Prize. I thought he definitely, and the funny thing about Prize is I thought his verse was crazy, but he said that he actually had to default to another verse because he didn't remember his verse, that he didn't start off with remembering the verse that he originally wrote. Watching his performance, you would have never known that. He came in very confident with the verse that he was kicking. He didn't ever stumble or anything like that. At least that was not noticeable to myself or the crowd.
I want to give him props. He has along with Vintage, he has one of the best deliveries on the stage. His cadence that he falls into is fire. The only thing I would look for from him is just like a little more fireworks. You know what I'm saying? In the writing, just a few more fireworks. But it's like there's good story there. Well, there's good pain there.
Some more specific terms when you say that.
What do you mean?
When you say fireworks.
When I say fireworks, I mean this like when I listen to Prize or after he finishes rapping, there's no line that stands out. There's no like imagery or device or anything that stands out to me. It's like generally what I'm pulling from it is his delivery and his cadence and kind of like the story, right?
Story, right?
Yeah. But see, the thing is, sometimes the story ends, but it doesn't end with a solid like this is the moral, right? And so it kind of just like ends and it's good, right? But it doesn't end with a punch. So like just any like just a little more. I think it comes across like
Yeah, so basically,
like like
more punchlines, something more, cleverness, things that quotables. You're saying things that are more like that particular bars that stand out. Not just rapping really well. As far like I think he has good wordplay, and I think he has great flow, and I think he tells
great.
His conviction is incredible. He definitely has the ability to emotionally draw you in to his performance. But it does not always, it's not always most necessarily lyrical is what that you might not get, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of mechanics, that's what he's doing, but it's just not, in the sense there may not be standout lines. So it's like just looking for those moments to have those standout lines.
Like for instance, I was re-listening to his verse, and he said, "Snitching is a virus, and death is the medicine." Like that could, you know what I'm saying? Like that's simple. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy to.
I don't know. To me, that's a tough line, because you got to think of, like, to me, that I don't know.
Virus and medicine. Look, just think about it. Virus and medicine. That like you're automatically gonna connect that dot. That's the initial dot to connect.
To me, snitching with with death is like it's almost like an inference for me. Like it's almost like, snitching is a virus and death is the medicine. Like it's like you have this sickness, you know what I'm saying? And there is a remedy for that particular type of sickness, which is snitching. Like, I don't know, to me, that kind of like the label end of
yes. I mean, that's the difference. That's why there are different judges and people, you know what I'm saying, and opinions. Like to me, it's like that's an easy to connect dot. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna reference something like a virus, then there are other ways that you can possibly approach it that might not be the initial thought of medicine or cure, or I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like, to me, like when I listened to it and I heard it, I was like, all right, like I saw that one coming. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But that's just an opinion on it. Like this is my thing. I was explaining this to another MC. Another thing that scores high for me is novelty of thought, right? Like, and for lack of a better word, almost random, right? Like, it's like to say something that's not common, that hasn't been thought of before, that's not easily thought of, that you might have to jump an extra hoop, to get to that point. Those extra little steps in thought are special to me. And that's what I look for. And those are the things that, like, when, like, for instance, I like to give props to Dub T, right? Because his reference points are interesting to me. He references things that let me know that his YouTube algorithm is different than the average person's YouTube algorithm, right? And so, like, for me, is those outside of the box sort of lines and references that will elicit a bigger response from me and impress me. Like virus in medicine is like, that's of course, you know what I mean? But it could be like, like virus and mutation of some sort, like, like who, like it could go a different route, so just throwing that out there, to the MCs, like coming left sometimes is cool.
Facts. All right, so who was next? All right, Chance Fisher. Chance had a 26. He got a 9 from me. He got an 8 from Ease. He got a 9 from Nick. Chance has been like super consistent since he's been in the Cypher. Punches very well, projects extremely well, commands attention very well. He's a consummate veteran MC. You know, and that he brings that experience level to every single performance. I think that he brings to the rap that he's brought to the Rap Elite stage. It's almost like it's crazy to me, which goes to show you how the level of competition has constantly been increasing, because it's amazing that Chance has not come in and at least been in sudden death yet. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us felt like he could have been in sudden death.
To be honest, like each time that he hasn't been in it, I've been kind of surprised, to be honest with you, because he like that first week he came, he went stupid. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that last performance was, you know what I'm saying, like fire. So he's always at the top of the top, you know.
He's like right there on the fringe usually. I think this might have been the lowest that he was in the full list of MCs, but that just goes to show you how crazy this particular episode was.
Yeah.
Right under there, Kilroy G. I thought Kilroy G's performance was insane. Flow was crazy. He was talking his shit, telling his story. He got a little conscious, but he was also punching in there. He was physically performing. He did a lot of mechanics. He closed strong as well. I gave him a 9.5. Ease gave him a 7.5, and Nick gave him a 9. I think that's where you start to see like the disparity in the scores, and see that goes to show you again, like, you know, that you got with Ease, you got him a full point lower than like a Fizzle. You know what I'm saying? Like, or where we was at. If we're using that barometer for what has happened, you know what I'm saying? So if we're on calibration, I definitely think he should have earned a higher score than a 7.5, which for him, in this particular instance, I don't think it would have put him in the top rung. It wouldn't have put him in the top rung, but it would have put him.
I'm saying, was his joint, his versus good as Vintage A or Scoozy's?
I have him right. I would have him right in that mix. I wouldn't say it was as good as Scoozy necessarily.
Yeah. It was on par with Vintage though, around there.
Definitely on par with Vintage.
Yeah.
Definitely on par with Vintage. For sure.
I felt like Vintage joint was better than him.
Preference, I could see that. But what I'm saying is just in
the same
range, though. It's definitely in the range. Like, it's definitely in that range. If it, you know,
I mean, he was fired too. Like I said, y'all's where I scored him would be where y'all would score somebody average. That's not an average point, a place to me. Like, that's a dope score in my opinion. But to where y'all scoring, that's like, you know, somebody that's just a little bit above average kind of
right,
thing.
Right. And
I mean, to me, 9, I don't think is a little above average though. I think that's.
No, like, I'm saying where I scored. I gave him a 7.5.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
So we got pretty much the same kind of feel for Logos the Poetic, who I also thought was super, super impressive.
Yeah, he was good.
Time. Incredible wordplay, also commanded the stage pretty well. Was vocal projection was high. He's also, you know, IMI Collective. He's in crew with Robaloo, Habib. You know, those that's that crew. You know,
yeah.
You can definitely see that school. See the school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of literary devices, a lot of, you know, showmanship, a lot of rare references and abstract ways of punching and doing. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to IMI, very dope crew. I know that they push each other, among MCing and writing and poetry and all of that, like a lot. You know what I'm saying? They do all of that in that house. So it's reflecting, in what they do. So shout out to them. Hijinks. To me, crazy performance. Crazy verse, I think what hurt his performance was just how he was holding the mic.
That's what I was about to say. That was the
one drawback.
I wanted to yell up to him so bad, like, yo, hold the mic close, because he was spitting that fire, but it was kind of straining my ears to hear him. But he would have got a full point extra from me if he would have held the mic to where I could like clearly hear everything he's saying.
Definitely.
Yeah, like he would have definitely either got at least a 0.5 higher from me, possibly a full point had it been like clear to hear. But it got better as the verse went on. But like in terms of just what he was writing, what he was saying, like how he was delivering it, like all that shit was the shit I was looking for. Like that nigga was just checking off boxes. You know what I'm saying? Just checking off boxes. Like that nigga was dumbing
wordplay to UConn or something. UConn, like that.
Like it's like if once that nigga get his delivery and command the stage and all of that shit down, he's gonna be a serious problem.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, he gonna be in that top 5.
That nigga's crazy with it.
Cause it was like, yo, I know you can do this, and he was just doing everything I know you could do, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
right.
Wilding.
Definitely.
And that was a surprise. I didn't even know he was like I was excited to see him in it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
There's definitely history with that MC. I think as he, continues on, you'll probably get a further understanding of his story. But I'm excited to see him in the mix for sure. All right, so who was next?
Fizzle.
Fizzle. Well, we discussed Fizzle and
Speak of the Fizzle.
Definitely discussed Fizzle. Ayala. So Ayala is the person I will go on record and state that I felt like I should have scored Ayala higher. I probably would have given him probably maybe a full point, at least a 0.5 more, but maybe even a full point more than I gave him. He was rap first tonight, and when you're scoring,
why did he? Oh yeah, he did rap first because he was. Did he replace somebody?
Replace somebody that was an auto. Yeah. And he was the very last replacement for an MC.
I probably would have gave him an 8.5 too. In hindsight,
like I gave him a 9 off that first. Like, yo, I was honestly when he like, I was like, damn, that's how we starting off. I was like, like his son went crazy. He went crazy, and his delivery was clean. Like, the writing was fire. That in it line, like the British, like he was right. He did his thing, Shout out to him.
And Ayala has an incredible pen. That's one thing. Like, not huge with the conviction or aggression necessarily.
That's why I was just about to say. Like, sometimes you don't want to tell people to be more aggressive, but that's one person that I wish just a little bit, because I want people to know how fire his pen is, and it's like I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if he
just floating it in there,
I wish he would be more cocky with it, and just like,
right. And I think pre-COVID he was starting to get in that bag. I think that was something that he, over months after month, he was realizing like he needed to put his foot on the gas a little more. And I do feel like that he's in that fringe space of still trying to do that, but not fully back yet, because this is only his second cipher, and also he only knew he was in it.
That last cipher verse he did was fire too, though. He went off in that bitch too.
But his energy level was kind of the same both episodes.
Right. Stationary.
I feel like he was popping shit more in that last one too.
Yeah, he was. He was
popping shit.
He was.
I think the setting fit that last one a little bit better because of the roof, and also you could hear everybody a lot clearer on the roof. So that paid dividends to like his style, because he didn't have to exert the additional energy that we're looking for. You know what I'm saying? This setting, crowd talking, this was back to like, you're going to need to command.
And I also wanted to say, like, so this is the thing about ciphers. There are a lot of things that you can't control, right? And one thing you can't control is like the room and the energy in the room at the time you go, right? And so like the thing about Ayla and that verse, like I feel like had he gone later or in a later heat, his verse probably would have hit even harder as the room was primed to hear what he was doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that might even have a little bit to do with some of the scoring on it. You know what I mean? Just the room. But these are things that you can't control. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about a cipher, right? The intangibles, the what ifs.
So that was something that was being said in the chat too. It's like, oh man, they were, people were talking really loud and so on and so forth. And I said, well, you guys remember when the vets were in here and the vets were calling y'all bubble rappers, and they're like, yeah, no, I remember that. I'm like, well, that's what they were talking about. They were trying to tell y'all, y'all putting these numbers up, but you're putting them up with no crowd. You know what I'm saying? And, they remembered being pre-COVID where you're in the dark room and it's literally wall to wall. When I say wall to wall, I mean wall behind the DJ, wall at the door, bodies. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people are yelling, people are, talking,
laughing, joking,
reacting to bars, all of that stuff. There's a bar right next to the, not too far from the stage, so you can hear people getting their drinks and all of that stuff in this one little tight space. You know what I'm saying? So so now you guys are getting a little bit of a feel, not a little bit of a feel, you're definitely getting a feel of having that crowd there in this type of environment where you gotta command their attention. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You gotta make yourself stand out. So just keep that in mind where this is where the game is back. The real game is back,
Especially if you like one of the early MCs, because like the people that's going last, generally they're more known in the ciphers. So the crowd is probably going to pay more attention to the people that are going last, because they know, for one, if you're going towards the last, you was picked probably, you was picked one of the first, or you just, the chant from last episode or whatever. So I feel like the people at the end definitely command more of the room's attention without even having to, say anything,
Also,
yeah, and that's just how it is too. Like, that's just how it is. Like, and that's like something that MCs can't whine or complain about, because that's just how it is. Like, and it's your job to overcome those things, right? If you're going earlier, it's your job to stand out to the point where next month you're going towards the end. It's like, it's one of those things. And I think that's how people are gonna cut their teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. All right, so let's get to Kello. Shout out to Kello. Another dope MC from 757. This was his first time. I thought he was super clever. I thought he projected well. He performed well. He came through and did his thing. I gave him an 8.5. Ease gave him a 7.5, and Nick also gave him an 8.5. I don't have him like necessarily having like one of those this was the best verse of the night type of performances, but it definitely was a really good performance, especially for a first time MC. And so I mean, I definitely look forward to seeing what he brings to the table going forward. And I think if you look at the differences in scores aren't that wide in this instance either. But if you're looking at, base scores, that's been discussed before, how, those base scores can be a little different, but I don't think that that's has a big factor in this one. So the next person was Kula Von Siel, our defending champion from episode 29. Now there is a disparity in those scores. I have a 9 for Kula. Ease has a 7 and Nick has an 8.5. I thought this was still a very solid performance for Kula. It was not as good as her last performance or the performance before that. What I will say as a takeaway for Kula is I think that this time there was more theatrics than bars. And I think, those theatrics didn't go off as well as we've seen them in the past, because they weren't surrounded with the same level of bars and presence that I felt like we got from episode 28 and 29.
You know what I think the difference between this last performance and her winning championship performance was the pacing. Like the pacing on that other one was so like deliberate. She like walked you into every single line. Like, and this one was a little more is not hurried. It's more hurried.
This episode she had some tough acts to follow too. It was some tough.
Yeah.
Well, I still think if she would have performed her last month's verse in this particular setting, it still hit the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I would have still scored her just as high. I still look at that verse as still a superior verse to many verses that we've seen, period, in the cipher. So I don't even know that I would say that I saw a verse this time that
I think that verse was a culmination of things on with her last episode, because it's like the energy that was that was there at the time, the people that she dissed, and how she was flowing and how she connected everything. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of, I feel like a lot of elements that went into her, her verse being.
I mean, for me, I can watch that verse back 100 times and feel the same way about it.
I was about to say, in hindsight, with revisionist history, that possibly could have been a 10 from me, yo.
Yeah, that verse was game changer.
It was game changer. Literally was a game changer.
Like
it was a game changer.
I mean, 100% honest with you. Like
with revisionist history, that was a 10.
I've looked to be wrong. Like I've looked to feel different about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've watched it probably 20, 30 times.
And it feels like a moment when you watch it, right?
Every time.
Feels like a moment.
I feel the same way about the verse too. Like she totally deserved to be in sudden death. And
like, no one's ever gonna forget Bing Bang Bong. No, like you'll never forget, or you'll never forget Ad Last.
That was a moment.
So many things she did in that verse, like Killing Season, the Glass Door, the Asgard. Now, how many verses can you quote that many things? You know what I'm saying?
So, well, you know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to make a compilation one day of like the best verses and like rank them, like a top 10.
Yeah,
at the end of the season, maybe.
And I'm excited that I'm
been doing that for the season for real.
One of those verses, like I'm super excited about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I think it's gonna live well on the internet too.
For sure.
it's gonna gain traction and keep growing. Because that is definitely a good verse.
She only put a real short snippet of it on World MC, and she got a whole lot of props. From their following. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it did like 4,000 or something views on there, and all good. And it only got to like the beginning where she got into the wordplay. Like it wasn't even like it didn't get to none of the moments. Like it was only a minute of it, which was included the intro. You know what I'm saying? So like
I think at the beginning, that's what she did the white girl character, right? At the beginning.
Right. yeah. That what I'm saying, like how she do it, so into it, just like through it, like you know what I'm saying, like that shit, like that verse was just a masterpiece. Like it literally was a masterpiece. There was no gas on that,
and it felt like it.
Facts.
That day.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out to Kula, man. She picked up her hoodie that day, and you know, following a verse like that is very difficult. You know, sometimes you hurt yourself. Just like
I was expecting.
I wasn't saying I was expecting. I'm not saying I was expecting. I knew it was.
I'll say I wanted.
Yeah, right. I knew it was pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like when you see somebody, you want them, you see them progressing, and you want to give them credit for that. It's also difficult when you've had a verse that's that iconic, and then you have to like follow it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's set a bar now for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I still think she did very well this episode. And I think that shows that she will consistently be a threat in the field every month. You know what I'm saying? So I would say MCs do not sleep because she didn't repeat her win. Don't sleep, or because she fell deep, further down in the pool. Because if anything, it may just inspire her to have another one of those really crazy performances, which we know is always capable. So Jason. All right, so I do have some specific feedback for Jason, and I think he's in the chat. So Jason did well. He scored a 24. I gave Jason an 8.5. Ease gave Jason a 7, and Nick, you gave him an 8.5 as well. Jason said that he did not feel. Let's speak first on what Jason did. Like he went to the stage. He was fired up. He took a lot of shots at folks. He did a lot of name dropping. He still had the charisma that we look for. It just didn't quite have the feel that the last time we saw Jason, and it didn't have. I don't think it had the lyrical content that I think we needed from him to get a higher score. My issues with Jason in this particular episode is I felt that he wasn't himself, content wise. Like I felt like he needed to like go at everybody. And I don't think that the lines that he put on each particular MC were all that clever. And I felt like it was kind of like a breaking character, and it didn't go over well. It's kind of like in wrestling when a baby face turns heel, but it's not like they didn't turn all the way. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't get received by the crowd. They're like not supposed to be a heel. Like there's not a good bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of felt like that for me. Feedback from y'all?
Yeah, I think he was lacking the lyrical content as well. Just when you take into account the performances that we got that evening from Cole, Scoozy, Era, Side G, his presence was there as usual. His delivery was dope. Yeah, his usual Jason was there, but I just didn't hear anything that floored me. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he was just rapping, and the 2 minutes was up, but
But with that being said, I mean, he still scored an 8.5.
I was gonna say he did good, and there was he has really good wordplay. And so like whether he rhymes is good, the delivery is good. I think the one thing that I had an issue with this month was just it was kind of hard to hear some of it. And I'm not sure if it's how he was holding the mic or how he was moving the mic when he was rapping, but some of it wasn't coming through as clear as normally it does. But sure, he killed it too, man. I fuck with Jason, man.
Yeah. Was Hoodie Jason there last time he performed?
Mm-hmm. I like Hoodie Jason.
I like Hoodie Jason too. I feel like I want to see regular Jason though next time.
Yeah, I said my notes for him was he had a great delivery and wordplay, but no real standout lines. And like that's the thing, like you always kind of want to leave us with something to remember. You know what I'm saying? Something you said to remember.
Definitely don't compromise your verse in, trying to get at other people that's in the cipher that night. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you got to do that at all. If the lines ain't coming out right, just write some fire. You know what I'm saying? Because at a certain point, you might, if you're trying to come at cats and it doesn't make sense, or it's not something so dope that if it doesn't make sense, be like, oh shit, that shit was dope anyway. You know what I mean? But yeah, we just ultimately want to hear fire. You know what I'm saying? So whether or not you come in that cats doesn't really matter if it's not dope.
Right. To me, a shot that doesn't land or doesn't hit is a missed shot. So it's kind of like it kind of waters your first.
So think about it like, and it works against you, right? So it's like you think about it like boxing. If you throw a shot and you miss wildly, most likely you're gonna catch a crazy counter, right? It's a point against you.
Either that, or it's just gonna take some energy out of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, that's the thing about missing punches is like they take a lot more out of you than landing punches.
Yeah.
Landing punches can give you some adrenaline. Kind of.
And then it makes the judges take notice of how the other punches you're not landing.
Right, because it looks like you're reaching at that point.
Yeah.
And instead of doing something that's more natural to you. So always take that into it. And that's for all MCs. Don't think because this is a competition that the best way to get to your desired end result is by, taking shots. And I'm not also not necessarily discouraging you from that. All I'm saying is make sure it's clever, man. Just make sure those shots are clever.
Yeah. And also, let's say this, yo. Last time Jason was here, he took some crazy shots too.
He did,
yeah.
So you gotta.
He did.
So of course you're gonna come back swinging because Tone Red was foul that episode. You know what I'm saying? So,
right,
but don't compromise your verse.
Yeah, and don't go to the well one too many times either. So if something works for you, sometimes the next time you gotta find what's gonna work for you next. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you can't just go and do the same thing you did the last time and think, oh, it worked last time. Let me double down on it this time. Like it don't particularly work that way. That's why I did think that it was interesting to see what Kula was going to come with, because I felt like she had done so much in that previous verse that I'm like, how do you wow the crowd or the judges, you know what I'm saying, that next time, when you do all of those different things, unless it's going to be, is she going to bar out or,
That's what I was saying. Like, she was gonna have to bar out.
Yeah, like it was gonna have to be bar out. And I think what she did went the opposite direction, and she went with more antics than the bars. And I think that's why, like, I think in order for her to like follow that up, it would have needed to be even more bars. Like, I think that would have been the momentum carrier for her, is like, oh man, she came with even more like punches. Like she's you know what I mean? Like she's in that bag.
To me, with this being a cipher, that is the most important thing, is the bars and what you're saying,
100%,
and how you deliver it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is a cipher. So we're not just trying to hear you rap for 2 minutes. We want to hear you rap very, very good for 2 minutes. Like, push your pen to the extents that you haven't pushed it to before, because you know what I'm saying, that's the type of shit that we want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Not the verse you got laying around at the crib, and you gonna come to RVA Rap Elite and spit that joint, and then wonder why you ain't get a high score, because there's other cats in there that night that's pushing a pen to super extents. Like, when the last time we had a joint that was a whole scheme?
Mm-hmm. I think the one time before that would have been
I think Basic did some
Basic
stuff,
did one
stuff like that.
Key Speech.
But I don't know if it was a full verse. That cereal joint was crazy.
Key Speech in episode
24. That 24 joint you talking about?
24 joint. Yeah, that 24.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
And that takes skill to do that, man, and not be, not have no whack lines, and get the crowd reaction and flowing with confidence, like you done been there before.
Right, and that was his
not easy at all.
Second time. So that was his second time. So yeah. So all right. So we can get through. Oh, and for those that are watching and those that don't know, Open Cipher signups start as soon as this is over. So if you're watching and you want to be one of the first to sign up, make sure that you stay in tune. All right, so the next person was Bakari Kennedy. This one was a little controversial for me. I had him at a 9. Ease, you had him at a 6.5. Nick had him at an 8.5. Yeah.
I did watch this one back, and I do feel like I could have gave him a point higher. I do feel like I could have gave him a point higher.
Bakari,
his verse was better than what I recollected.
He definitely rapped very well. Dope lines, dope wordplay as always. Flow was there. I think one thing that stood out for me in this one was that he had more vocal control and conviction than we've gotten in the past. And that was one of my takeaways for him, was that he needed to sit on his voice some more. And I felt like he did that. The only takeaway though that would have got him an even higher score from me, and I think from everyone, was if his verse was longer.
The only reason he got the 8.5 is because it was short. Like, it could have been a 9.5, depending on how long he finished it out and how he ended it. He ended good and strong, but it was just a short verse, and that was just the one drawback. But it was a great performance. That was one of the best that he's done.
Well, that's why he got a low score for me as well. And like at the same time, while y'all probably give certain people, higher points for the things that they improved on, I feel like if a person has a lot of things to improve on, you can't necessarily score them too much higher because they improved on stuff, because it's going to get to a point to where, they're going to keep improving, and, the score can't keep going up every time, somebody
they're not necessarily participation points though.
Yeah, and it's not a thing where like and that's not for somebody that necessarily has a lot. Well, let's speak specifically for Bakari. I don't think he had a lot to improve upon. I think the only thing I ever really wanted from him was for him to use his voice better. Because you couldn't always hear him, but you knew he was rapping his ass off. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was my only takeaway from him. But now my only takeaway is you didn't rap long enough, because if you'd have did everything you've been doing plus what you added for another 30 seconds, 45 seconds, maybe, you would have had as good a verse as you probably could have got. Because it was like, if it's those times where people are rapping and you get to a certain point in the verse and you're like, oh, if you're going to continue this on, this is about to be crazy. I felt like that was the moment that he stopped, like right where he was like, oh shit, and you still got like 30 seconds left. What you about to do? You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes it's how people stop that gets me. Like,
he had a planned stop. It was just too early. I remember like thinking like, oh nah, like that was it. And you're right though, it was a planned stop, but it wasn't a great stop either. It was like,
it was
and that's
stop.
it. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like one of those.
Yeah, like,
and he said, and this is the thing he said, I'm gonna keep it short. I feel like he shouldn't have even said that.
Like when
you know
I don't like when people stop, like they know they shouldn't have stopped that short, even if it wasn't a plan. Even if it was a planned stop, if they stop, like, yeah, I know, I should have gave y'all more type shit.
Left some shit on it. Yeah,
it makes you feel that way.
Right.
Yeah, that's what kind of gets me a little bit. Like, if you flowing and you stop, like, boom, like this is where the
you're gonna have to add some cockiness to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're gonna do that, it's gonna need to be like shit, like
look like swapping knives.
Yeah, like
look, you gotta be like swapping knives.
Y'all don't deserve no.
Y'all don't even deserve this.
But sometimes you can just see it in like a person's body language or like, you know, facial expression. Like they're kind of like shrug or something. Like it just, I want to feel like that's where you feel like the 2 minutes is ending. Like,
yeah, I mean, you
feel confident with your shit that you gonna get to sudden death with that shit that you just gave us.
Use your 2 minutes, y'all. I mean, and I know that you can accomplish what you need to accomplish in less in some instances, but no matter how much you're cooking, if you leave more than like 20 seconds on that clock, you're shorting yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
because here's the thing about that. Sometimes that might have been all you could have wrote that was fire. And where somebody else is trying to stretch their fire across 2 minutes, you done decided you gonna like compact what you got into a minute or a minute. Second.
Use that last 15 seconds and talk and pop shit like Diddy at the end of a song. You know what I'm saying?
We know a minute.
Please don't do that. I'm not gonna support you for that.
And we know a minute 30.
The moment you stop rhyming, put that microphone.
And we know a minute and 30 is basically 2/16 for the most part.
Right.
It's a little over 2/16.
And I mean that's the reason why you got 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Because we want to see, we want to see what you could do with that 2 minutes of time. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a good base. Like at least give us 2
minutes is good. It's good time, Good time.
It is. All right.
Yeah,
so
2 minutes is actually 3/16, I believe.
Close. Yeah.
I look at E16
45
like
seconds.
Yeah. E16 is like 40-45 seconds around, something like that.
All right, so Wilt Sorrell. I thought I gave Wilt Sorrell an 8.5. Ease, you gave him a 6, and Nick gave him an 8.5 as well. I thought this was one of the better verses we've gotten from Wilt Sorrell in a There was a point in there where he did some crazy shit with the wordplay. Like
yeah, I re-listened to it today.
I haven't re-listened to Wilt Sorrell, John. Maybe I gotta re-listen back to it. But
one of my takeaways from Wilt Sorrell is that he can be very stiff with the rhymes. Like he can be very stiff how he delivers his joint. It's like the line, but then the It's like there's not a lot of fluidity sometimes in how he delivers it. It's like not necessarily that his content isn't good. It's just the way he delivers it. Sometimes there'll be really good lines and they're just delivered in a way that it just
could be a little rigid.
Yeah, it's like plotting. They're like the delivery is like a plotting delivery, but then it's like you could tell he was trying to break that this time, and then he went into these little couplets, and that couplet definitely like elicited a reaction from me. I was like, oh, like okay, like and so I had to give him his peppers on that. You know what I mean? Like he really stepped outside of his box on that one.
I think I had him at my notes for him. I said he had a great delivery. Like the only thing was there wasn't too many real standout lines.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was like good wordplay for sure. And cadence was good. A little rigid at times, but it was good.
And I think this is the last one that we're gonna do as an individual touch on, and that was Madam V. I felt like this was not a super standout performance from Madam V, but I felt like it was her best cipher verse yet. It was to me her best cipher performance yet, from a vocal projection standpoint, from a wordplay standpoint. I felt like she decided to get a little edgy, and I appreciate it though, because for me, for each MC, it's all about like, my joint froze crazy on my screen and it has me looking wild on my.
Just moving over here.
I would take a picture of that joint because that joint is crazy. That's funny. Everybody's frozen on my screen, but okay, we're back. But I just like when MCs get out of their comfort zone, and I felt like this was her night where she decided there was a lot of confidence there, and she got out of her comfort zone. I gave her let's see, I gave her a 9. Ease gave her a 5.5. Nick gave her 8. So now I will go on record in saying that I think the 9 may be a little high. I probably would have felt like more to where Nick's score is, an 8. But I did like that she had elicited the reaction. I like that she had the confidence. She closed strong. There was definitely a feel of like she did that. You know what I'm saying? Like you could hear her at the end of her verse. You know what I'm saying? Like she's like, yeah, that's how you do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And like now for an MC to say that in a room like that, if you didn't do it, there's a certain feeling that the general crowd gets when an MC says something like that and they didn't do what they said they did. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it wasn't out of place for her to say that at that particular moment. And I think that's where my score came in, because it did feel like, yo, she did that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I felt. You know what I mean? Like I think with Madam, she's very unorthodox with how she approaches her rhymes. It's cryptic almost. It's almost in a sense of like a fizzle when you taste and encase, but not as lyrical. And that's the difference maker for me. I feel like with Fizzle, it's like he's offbeat. He has that unorthodox flow, but there's a lot of lyrical content in there. Whereas with Madam, you don't get as much of the lyrical content. So it can be a little bit more difficult to digest. But I thought that her confidence bled through in this particular performance. Ease, you had her at a 5.5 though. That is a much lower score. So where do where was your mindset with that, and then we'll get my thought process?
I just feel like she needs to actually rap to the beat more, so I could, so it can be easier to digest what she is actually saying. You know what I mean? I know she got some crowd response and stuff, but I felt like the crowd response wasn't necessarily because what she was saying was dope. It was because the words that she was actually using that people could actually pick out and understand, or at least that was my experience from what she was, what she was saying. I just feel like her approach to the beat is a little bit too much spoken word, not enough MC.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this was one of her better performances, probably her best. In terms of how she projected it and everything. I do think
but I never felt like there was ever anything wrong with her projection and her her delivery. Like I just feel like the way that she is flowing.
It's her. Well, that's what I was about to get to. I think it's her pacing, right? It's like,
and let me not say delivery. I'm gonna say her like her like swag when she's rapping. Like I never feel like she seemed like nervous or timid or anything like that. But she just the flow is just the main thing. Like how she sounds on top of beats is the main thing, and I can't really it's hard for me to judge the lyrical content based on how she's flowing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think she's just like, for her, it's just like a little bit of the pacing. Like if she can just like add some space in there to allow certain lines or certain things that she does, give it some time to breathe or for people to digest it a bit. But like that's also kind of her style. Like it strings into itself. It doesn't rhyme in the places where you expect it to rhyme at. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of her thing. And that's where I see where radio is saying it's kind of fizzle-ish. You know what I mean? That's a funny word, fizzle-ish. But like I think this was a good performance from her.
But even Fizzle has a pocket he gets in at time.
Yeah,
like I feel like she doesn't have a pocket like whatsoever.
I don't know if I would say she doesn't have a pocket whatsoever. I think like her style reminds me of like a snake. It's kind of like it's like she like if you ever it's hard to explain. Like there isn't a hop to it at all. There's no hop to it. It's kind of like she's kind of like slithering through these like
yeah.
pockets, you know what I'm saying?
See, I've been trying to break her like the way that she writes down, and it's like she doesn't necessarily write in bar format. Mm-hmm. She doesn't do A B B A B A. She doesn't do any of that. It's like it'll be a phrase, and then the phrase right after it will rhyme with it, and then like this would be something else. It might just rhyme with itself, and then this line might not rhyme, and then it might start rhyming again. Like it's not like a real like structure to it. You know what I mean? It rhymes where it rhymes at. You know what I'm saying? But like that's unique in itself. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's one of the things that we, I've said a couple of times. It's just a matter of MCs mastering their style. And I felt like, I think what I felt was that this was her coming closer to understanding how to be effective with her style. This particular, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think I may have, just scored it a bit higher than it necessarily could have been, but I definitely think it was better than a 5.5 type of performance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I would have probably been more in Nick's space of where he scored her at. But I do think it was a good performance for sure. And if she was to build on this performance, I feel like we would, she would be on to something for sure. But there is still a desire for her to have more potent lyrical content. I do think more mechanics in the sense of like more defined metaphors, more defined punchlines, more defined if it's not going to be punchline, I always hesitate to use the word punchlines because everyone's not a punchline rapper, and I don't need
and everybody doesn't need to be one.
Yeah, I don't need people to punch. I don't need punches to be impacted. I just need cleverness. I need some sort of. I need the lyricism. I need like something witty, something that
study them trademarks, study them Will Youngs and them basics and them.
Yeah, it could be wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be wisdom. Like if you lay a gem on me in a bar and it's just pure wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm good on that. You know what I'm saying?
Those
like
be the ones for me.
Like that's gonna elicit a response from me. You know what I'm saying? Now the thing about that is you might not always get the crowd with one of those, but it depends on how you deliver it.
You know what I'm saying? There was an old head that came through one episode and did that. It was just killing.
Oh, you might be talking about, but he had punches too though.
I don't know I forget what season it was.
I think I know you're talking about, but I don't want to throw that name. I don't want to throw a name out.
I forget. I can't remember whom he named. Tall dude though. Tall old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bald head dude.
Yeah. But he had punches though.
He did have punches, and he had that delivery too. It's kind of like old school. Yeah, he was funny.
He was funny.
What's that name, son?
Where's Spielberg? Spielberg know who we talking about, yo.
Yeah. Look, I almost want to say Jamal, but I know it's not Jamal.
No, it's definitely not Jamal.
But I feel like his name is
Jamal,
something like that, though.
See, then you talk about wisdom bars. Jamal gives you them wisdom bars.
Yeah, he do.
He's not a puncher, but he got bars, though. Like,
yeah, it's a fact.
Distantly, like, he would have scored higher if he didn't stumble, too. I think he stumbled, right?
He stumbled, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, lyrically, like, he's not one of those people that give you like no setup punches, but he has them wisdom bars. Like you like, the references he uses. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it could be a reference that you.
Yeah, I like his references a lot of the times. He has good wordplay too.
Yes. But yeah, needless to say, I think this is the most we've ever gone with individual MCs and broken MCs down in those scores because there were so many great performances. Even if you didn't get mentioned, there were Von Wave, crazy. His wordplay, he went last. His wordplay was crazy, yo.
Yeah.
Like I would only say for Von Wave, like I just need a little more, like spunking, I ain't even gonna say aggression. I just need some more liveliness in your performance. You know what I'm saying? Like he has that like the hold the mic and just kind of give it to you like just he's kind of talking his bars out. You know what I'm saying? I need a little bit more
rapping.
But the writing is superb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely think if you rap it a little bit more with more conviction, then we'd be able to feel those bars a lot better. Felitos, much better than the first time I saw him in season 1. Felitos was dope. Like he didn't have like a bunch of like standout content, but like I enjoyed listening to him rap.
He has a good delivery.
Yes.
It's like he raps like he's been rapping for a while.
Right. Very confident. Like it was like, and that was not how I remembered him from season 1. You know what I'm saying? So like I kind of was like surprised. Like I was like, oh, like Felito's like he been somewhere rapping a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like and he had that feel like he's a rapper, not like even like in a cipher that even do well in a cipher, but they kind of like are like cipher MCs. But Felitos had that feel like, yo, like I do this, like You know what I'm saying? Like a cool
Yeah.
beat. You know, he
Dang, yeah, I gave him an 8. I'm looking at my score. I gave him an 8. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I hope he definitely comes back. Introverse started out well. I think he ended up stumbling some, but I think he started out well as well. Theodore B, another person that I felt like watching his videos before he came in, I thought he was better in the cipher than I saw in before he got there. Like, and he's somebody that I think wants to continue to push his pen. So I look forward to seeing him. Simone J, she just had an off night. It happens. She'll be back. She's already don't even give me feedback this time. I already know that, you know, shout out to Simone B. I mean Simone J. Simone B. Miss Simone J. 100% right before she be ready to shoot me out. And then Lithium God, it's the only MC I felt like didn't take this 100% seriously.
Yeah.
And the scores reflected. You know, at Lithium God, I know him to be a very dope producer. I know that he can do better than that as an MC. And I would, you know, if you come back, I just hope you just apply yourself a bit more. I think he just came in and was freestyling. You know what I'm saying? And he said he was going to be writing for it. So I don't know if he just didn't get it down and he just resorted to freestyling or what happened, but definitely, you know, definitely you could do better than that. And I hope if you do come back, you apply yourself a bit more. But we didn't get to the other things that occurred in the event. Like we had dope performances from, oh my God, Trig, an amazing.
I saw Trig up there killing, man.
Amazing performance. It's super emotional moments. The band was crazy. I feel like I wish our sound guy that night would have been a little bit more on his job with mixing them vocals with them instruments. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, because it was tough to hear him.
It's tough to hear.
I saw the energy was crazy.
And yes, so like super shout out to Trig. I know that performance was super important to him. And he did what he followed the assignment 100%. Ryder's performance was dope, very, very clear. You know, I felt like, you know, he came and he did what he was supposed to do. Saji as well. Saji ended up going to a much lighter room. But I could tell, like, you know, if he had the room where it was supposed to be, his performance would have landed just as well as Ryder's. And Trig was just a different bag, but Trig was a whole nother bag. And the Producers Lounge, oh my gosh, cannot not give the Producers Lounge name brand, Soultronic, Vintage, JT. Let me not forget anybody, because the Producers Lounge was insane. Name brand, Soultronic, Sutter Homes, Vintage Got the Heat, Solar Music, and JT. Everybody went crazy. Y'all had us, y'all had us ready to rap for real. So that was a vibe. Shout out to the Hoffheimer, man, for hosting us. And, we'll be back July 25th for episode 31. The lighting was good. Shout out to the crowd. That was one of our biggest crowds, probably. It was just a bigger room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if that crowd was in the dark room, we'd have been wall to wall in there. So great episode. Great episode. Look forward to having even better episode July 25th. Also, if you're watching before then, though, July 18th, Southpaw Battle Coalition, Road to Supremacy Tournament Round 1 at Tang and Biscuit. Make sure you're getting your tickets. The promo rollout, we start revealing the MCs that are in it. 16 MCs that are going to be battling over a number of events to determine our first Southpaw World Champion and our first All-City Champion, and also a $2,000 cash prize to the grand prize winner. So it's I can let y'all know on the Rap Elite side, there's definitely some familiar faces from Rap Elite that are in this tournament. Familiar faces from this episode, familiar faces from previous seasons, other familiar faces from this season. And then also some Richmond battle rap legends that are in this tournament. So you and then also Southpaw roster guys. So you're gonna get, it's a good mix of experience from rookies all the way up to legend status, and they're all getting a chance to duke it out. There's a lot of content that's going to be dropping. Also, if we have MCs that are looking to get into the battle rap side of things, please let me know, because we will be looking to constantly add to the Southpaw roster. We're going to be doing, Southpaw is 100% back. We want to have a full standings. We're doing judge battles, records, champions, contenders, storylines. We want all of that. So I'm looking forward to, and if you're coming from you never battled before, Southpaw is a place where we groom you. We show you the ropes. We're not gonna let you just, you might hop in the first time, naked and afraid. But but as you start to take it more seriously, we're gonna definitely take you more seriously and help you know the ropes and get you lined up with coaches and stuff like that to get you up to par. But definitely get your tickets for July 18th. It's going to be insane. And then, I guess, we got MCs that are sitting around waiting for this to end so that they can get their opportunity to sign up for the Cypher. The Cypher's maxed out in 3 hours last month. I would love to see that same type of energy tonight. But any last words from you guys? Any add-ons?
I don't have anything, man. Great job this month, man.
Yes, sir. Same here.
100%. Shout out to the Rap Elite staff, everybody involved. Hip Hop Henry, Melodic, Michael Millions, Spielberg, West, Dion, everybody, Frank. Big shout out to Frank as always. And everybody, Pete, Larry, Pete Productions, Pete at the Dark Room. Pete at Hoffheimer. He's a godsend. Everybody involved. Thank you for tuning in. We will see y'all July 25th at